I hope all of you can see my screen, mind map your metro, mind map your retro. And if you can see my screen, can you just say hi, yes on the chat? So it will just help me allow that we both are on the same page. All of us are on the same page. Just reply. Rob has replied yes. Definitely. Thank you. Cynthia, yes. Sebastian, yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Okay. So the learning outcome for this session is just three aspects. I want to explain to you what I mean by retro. It is called in different terms by different time, different project management philosophies. And the second important part is that why I suggest you to do retro in mind mapping, okay, as part of the project management cycle. And finally, I would also like to show you a quick demo and a hands-on exercise on how we can all do retro using mind mapping. So I have a small little template and an example that I can share with you so that you can do this. In fact, I actually have sort of a meta exercise here. Let us actually try doing a simple sort of a retro exercise for this workshop itself. So it is actually called an exercise called KWL exercise. It's also called the blank sheet method by a it's a told as blank sheet method by a fantastic blogger author called Shan Parish. He writes a wonderful blog called Farnham Street Blog. So I'll share the link subsequently. Okay. So let us do this KWL exercise. Shall we do this? Okay. If you have a notebook, pen, or a paper, and if you have access to an Xmind software, that is fantastic. I would want you to do the entire exercise on a mind mapping. If that is not possible, you can simply take a simple paper, keep the notebook or paper in a landscape format, okay, and draw circle in the center and write it as KWL exercise. So that is our central topic or the central node, okay. And the subtopics are, which will branch out from the central topic are, K is for know, W is for want, L is for learn. If you don't mind, can you guys write this? Can you please take a piece of paper, pen, or if you have an Xmind software, please open a mind map and create this tiny little mind map for yourself. I'll give you like 10-20 seconds for you to get ready. If you are done, please reply with yes. If you are done with ready, Mustafa, thank you. Thank you. Mustafa is able to see it. So Sebastian is ready with the mind map itself. Fantastic. So please play along with me because this exercise would be really helpful for you and for all of us. I'll help you to understand what I mean by it. So if you are ready with the mind map, the KWL exercise mind map, please reply yes to the chat. That I will really appreciate that. So Sebastian has said yes. Rob Bradbury has said yes. Thank you, man. Thank you, Rob. Fantastic, Mustafa. Okay, let's dive into this. By K, what I mean is, for this workshop, we are trying to do this. I'm sorry, I just. So, for K, this is the lead question that I have for you. What do you already know about retrospective? What do you already know about mind mapping? So, if you can take another 10 seconds to branch and write out what do you already know about the topic that we are discussing. For example, I know retro is a great concept in project management, but often neglected. This is a knowledge that I already have. We are trying to place that knowledge on the mind. Okay, that is the that is the exercise. So similarly, you might have similar other learning or completely different knowledge that you're already bringing to the table. So if you don't mind, please put it on the mind map here in your mind map. And if you have something interesting to actually share it, you can actually put it on the chat also. What do you already know about retrospective? The concept of retrospective, the concept of project management, particularly the retrospective. Then, if at all you have any other information about mind mapping, So what we are doing is that we are trying to access your existing prior knowledge before we enter into the concept itself. If you have some interesting thing, please do put it on the chat also. I can not compulsory. Yeah, chat also. Then let us do the second part of it. I could see Sebastian replying. I could see Ray replying. Let us do the next one. Here, this is where it gets interesting. What do you want to know about retrospective? What do you want to know about mind mapping from this particular session? Okay, it, you can write this as a statement. You can write this as a question also. I want to know XYZ. I have a question that how to do this. So this could be like, again, I'm priming your brain up so that you are ready for the session here. So really appreciate, again, take another 10-20 seconds to reflect upon what you want to know, any question that is available. And if you have time, you can put it on the chat as well. Okay. Now, I'm not going to go back to the what is the third one that we will do at the end of the session. So that's a surprise thing. How to do simple mind map and use for brainstorming. Ed, we will be specifically using learning in the session on how to do something called retrospectives. Okay. Fine, great. Okay. Now let me go to the next actual subject of the topic itself. So what is retro? What do we mean by retro or retrospective? Okay. It is actually called by different names. Let me zoom in a little bit. Again, if you guys have noticed, I'm actually using the software mind map itself to make this presentation. So it's a versatile tool to make presentations also. So it is called by different names. Okay, it is sometimes called as review. So most of your review meetings fall under the concept of retrospectives. It was also called as a recap. And personally, I actually like the name reflection. A simple journaling exercise is actually a retrospective exercise. So you are looking back and what happened, what you crossed, how the project went, how did the week was, how was the sprint was, how was the product development happen over the past 1 year or so. So it could be by many terms. So that is what we mean by retro. It is part of the project management cycle. So if you know, project management cycle has only like three parts to it. One is the concept of planning, then actually doing the project, and the third part is review. Plan, do, and review. Unfortunately, if you look at most of the project managers and even the project management team, they are fantastic in planning. Maybe they are great in doing the project also, but most of the time we often neglect at reflecting and reviewing what the actual lessons that we could gather from the particular project. In fact, those lessons could be so valuable that we can use it as our prior knowledge to plan better for our next project. Oftentimes it doesn't happen. That is exactly the reason why I wanted this particular session. I wanted to conduct this particular session. So let us see how far we can take this forward. Okay. Then, so these are all the terms, different terms it is defined as, and there could be different frequencies of making this happen also. So let me just, okay, you can do it daily. Okay, I think most people might have been familiar with the concept of daily stand-ups as part of sprint or agile project management techniques. So the team comes together for quickly for 10 minutes at the beginning of the day, and you talk about what happened yesterday, what were your quick wins, what was the trouble that you faced, and then you quickly share what you want to work on the particular day. Okay, so the daily stand-up is a retrospective exercise. Again, I'm really happy that many of the project management teams have embraced it and start doing it. But I believe still lot more people are not doing it. So you could incorporate it as part of your team. Even if you don't have a team, if you are a solopreneur, you can actually do it for yourself itself. You can just sit in the morning before you start the work, and you can think about what are all things that happen and all those things. So it could also happen weekly. You must have heard the concept of weekly review or weekly reflection. So that was also something that you can do. So this is the frequency that I would also suggest. So I'm a big believer in weekly reviews. I do a weekly review. Only then after that, I do weekly plan. Okay. Then you can always do monthly and quarterly. I think that is very much. I don't do monthly plans. I prefer a quarterly review, either with for my own projects, with my client projects, or among my collaborators whom I'm working with also. So I usually do like a quarterly goal, then review it, then do the next quarterly plan and all those things. My weekly review, which approximately will turn around to 12 weekly reviews is more than suffice for that particular quarter. So that is how I do. And again, I do annual reviews as well. Most of us would have heard of New Year resolutions. Unfortunately, before you do the New Year resolution, it is always advisable to do New Year reviews. You know how many times we prepare our New Year resolutions but often fail. The reason is that we are not taking the lessons from the previous year. How did our previous year, how did the goal setting for the previous year happen, did not happen, what are the lessons learned, and all those things we are not incorporating into the new thing. It's as if we are making the same mistake every year. And if we know that we are making some mistake, I think we can always course correct. So that exactly is what retrospective will help you. That is exactly what review of it could be done. And you can do it in a different frequency. You can do it daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, annually. And that is another, this is how frequency that you can do. There is another perspective that also comes in. You might have heard of monitoring and evaluation. I would consider these types. Just a second. Let me align the. Yeah. During the project itself, you might have seen that like health inspector doing regular monitoring. You could see like in food industry there is regular monitoring by a manager inside this one also. They do it like weekly. There is a rhythm, a frequency that is there. So it's usually called as inspection, supervision, monitoring. It's part of the managerial cycle. That is also thing. You can also do something else also. You can do it at the end of the project once the project is done. So sometimes like a construction industry project or a software development project. So the entire team, the entire stakeholder can come together and do the end of the project evaluation. Again, the idea is not to blame each other or something like that. The idea is to actually garner lessons from it so that we can use it, incorporate it in the future planning, future projects also. So this is something I think I sort of sold you what retro means and why and when you could use retro. So this is, and I believe most of you are already doing retro as part of your team, either as a boss, as a manager, or you're part of a team that does retro already. So this is what retro means. I'm seeing few questions on the show this one. So yeah. Okay. Stacy has message. So yeah. So this is the concept of retro. Do you have any questions? Please feel free to put it in the chat up. I'll take it up once the entire instructional this one. So I have another 15-20 minutes of instruction. So we'll do that. So yeah, this is what I mean by retro. Now let us go back to the next more important part of it. Okay, why should we use retro by mind mapping? Okay, as I said earlier, a huge confession. I'm a big fan of mind mapping. I'm a big fan of using Xmind, and something interesting happens when I do mind map, when I do retro on mind mapping, when I do my weekly reviews on mind mapping. Instead of say a linear note taking app, it could be a Google document, it could be a Word document, or even a Google sheet. I tried all those things, but something did not work. One of the reasons is that I simply like I simply like the fact that it helps me for better visualize what is happening. And by better visualization, what I mean is that it helps me to arrange various concepts on a singular canvas. So if you could see in this canvas itself, this presentation itself is a beautiful example of how this mind mapping is working. I can see the first subtopic, what is the learning outcome. I can also see the retro example, the last subtopic itself. This fantastic concept, I have the ability to zoom in and zoom out at the same time. Better visualize the concept on a singular canvas is one of the big reasons why I'm a big fan of mind mapping. No other tool, as far as I know, has this ability to zoom in and zoom out at the same time, like a mind mapping can do. So that is something that I would request you to try it out as a retro, as a process, as a tool. You can use mind mapping for your retro exercise as well. Another major interesting thing is that it helps you to easily reorganize and regroup concepts. What do I mean by that? I mean that if the idea comes, if there is a concept on the second node, which better fits on the fourth node, you can always move from one node to another. Obviously, this happens fantastically on a digital mind mapping tool. So this regrouping, reorganizing can happen smoothly in this one. And this is what happens in your team retro also. So we do our team retro on a mind map. So what happens is that we throw our ideas, we throw our concepts. Suddenly, what happens is that we realize that we can group all, like 2-3 points together into another subnode or a subtopic or a subtopic. Then we understood that the idea on one node is better. It's not actually fit into this subtopic. I better move into another subtopic which is far more appropriate. That is also another fantastic thing that happens in mind mapping. And the beauty is that unlike a linear, say example, a bullet taking this one, we have to scroll down and scroll up or down to actually look at the particular point and copy and paste on this one. Here, what you can do is that you can always move, group, regroup, for example. I'm just doing that. I just took that one idea and put it in another subtopic of it. So, and I did Control Z and it came up. So this is something that you can obviously do it. Another major thing that I really like about using mind mapping for retro is that during the process of mind mapping itself, I was a little blind to it when I myself was doing. What happens is that you get some insights that automatically emerges because of the structure of the process of mind mapping itself. So that happens very beautifully when you do a mind mapping thing. So usually during our collaboration, what happens is that so I do a separate mind map, my team does a separate mind map, my co-founder does a separate mind map, my designer would do a separate mind map, and we all come together. Then we put all those mind maps on a single mind map. There would be ideas that will emerge which none of us thought earlier individually. Okay, I think somebody was asking about brainstorming. That is the beauty of mind mapping. So what happens is that there are new ideas, new connections, new associations that happens because of the fact that you see those multiple ideas in a visual spatial format, and these reconnections uh, help you emerge, give birth to new ideas and insights also. So that is something that happens when you do it. I think we'll do another exercise eventually. So I hope you'll be able to do it and see some insights that would emerge out of the very fact that the structure itself lends to such generative thinking. So that is one reason I would recommend you to do retro and mind mapping. Another thing is that you can also do some course correction. As I said earlier, when we as a team come together and we try to brainstorm during the mind mapping, during our retrospective reflective sessions or review sessions, as we call it. So what happens is that we would have assumed that there is a problem in the project because of so and so reasons. But when we come actually to the meeting, when we are sitting and discussing over the mind map, we realize that the problem could be something else, which and our assumptions about the problem was could be completely wrong. So then we can actually course correct, change our brains, change our thinking pattern, and the see the issue, the problem at hand in a new perspective. So that is another thing that happens due to doing the retro on a mind mapping or a visual camera, for example. So yeah, I see one question. Let me just take this question. Yeah, I see Stacy suggesting for you all to do the polls tab. If you can click, and you can do that. It'll be near the. You can see the polls tab in the thing, and you can do that. And there are some amazing giveaways for the people who might win it. Yeah. By the way, if you have any other questions, feel free to put it on the chat box. We are almost at the end of the session, and I'll show you a quick demo on how to do the retro with an example itself. Okay. So this is the example that I have, and just a quick tip here. So this is actually a connected app, connected mind map. So there are two mind maps here. So this is the example mind map, and this is the main mind map. So Xmind as a software allows you to connect two mind maps and create a new mind map from an existing node. So what you have to do is that right click, and there is an option called new sheet from the topic. So what it will do is that it will create a new mind map from this particular node itself. So I'm going to go to that particular mind map. So I'm going to show you an example of how we do our review, how we do our retrospective on on a mind map. Okay, and this again, I think too much lecture now. Let us do it as an hands-on exercise itself. So we got like another 10 minutes more. So what we will do is that uh, again, I want you to take a blank sheet of paper, write retro example or retro exercise in the middle of the paper and circle it. Okay. Then on each of the node, we are going to write this one. So the first subtopic is wins. The second subtopic is fails. Third subtopic is improve, and the fourth subtopic is stop. I'll explain this to you. So these are all basically headings for lead questions that I usually ask during a review meeting to our team. And these are the questions that I ask myself in my own project management during my weekly review, etc. So this is the same question that I often use and repeat, so that it helps me to not only reflect upon the earlier the week so far, but also help me course correct for the coming week for the next project, etc. etc. Okay. If you guys have done it, please reply with an S. Take a piece of paper and draw this mind map with the node. I'll give you like 10 seconds. Mustafa has done. Thanks, man. Thanks. Really appreciate it. Mustafa has replied with that done. So this is the mind map. The structure of the mind map is there is a central node, central topic, and from there are branches that is coming out of it. And the first branch, I usually call it as foundational nodes. The first branch is the map. First branch is a very, very important this one. So that the naming of the branch will help you to expand upon the particular mind map. So I'm giving you literally a template on how to do retrospective. I see Mustafa done. Anyone else done? It would be really appreciative if you can reply on the chat box. You can say done, you can say yes, you can give me a thumbs up if you are done. Ready. Rob is ready. Thanks, Rob. Cynthia is ready. Done. Thanks. I need one more person. I could see 17 people have participating in the session. Sebastian has done. Thanks, man. Thanks. Okay, now quick question. So wins is the topic. What would be the question? Can you take a guess? So let us take this scenario. So there is a wonderful project that we have conducted, a wonderful software development project we have conducted, and we are a 10-member team. So we are sitting and discussing over this one. The first is wins. What is the question you want to ask yourself and the team to reflect upon? You had a fantastic, you worked tirelessly, and you have this wonderful uh, product outcome at the end of this before it is launched, of course. And what do you think the question could be? The first question is the first topic is wins. What could be the question? The lead question. Any guesses? If you have a guess, please put it on the chat. What could be the question? So remember, we are reflecting upon the project that has been completed. What is working? Fantastic, Ed. Fantastic. What is working? What did we achieve? Yes. So Ed, I would actually reframe it as what worked. Okay, because we have completed the project, it is at the end, or it could be monitoring also. So now I'm currently, as the contest suggested, we have already completed the project, assuming that we already completed the project, and we want to understand what worked, what did we achieve, what was the success, what were the wins. Anyway, I wouldn't say what are the goals, what did we achieve would be a better framing, Sebastian. Okay, remember, the project is completed. Okay, the project is completed. We are not, it is not a planning exercise, it's a review exercise. We are completed the project and we want to know what the project was, so we are reflecting upon it. Okay, I'll show, let me reveal it to you. Okay, what went well. Okay, this is how I am framing it. Again, there is no hard and fast rule on this is how you should frame the question or not. There is nothing like that. You can frame the question any way you want, but it could always be as simple as what went well, what were the achievements, what did we achieve. So it could be any way that you feel appropriate, whether how you whatever this one. So please note it down in your mind map also. This is the question that you want to ask yourself and your team, as the first question of your retro. Let us start on the positive note. Okay, what do you think the second one would be? Fails. I think this should be obvious. If you can guess and put it on the chat, it'd be really nice. The second node in the mind map is fails. What went wrong? Correct. What went wrong? I know I might be brutal in naming the title as fails, but I would suggest that. I would suggest that. Oh, Rob. No, no issues, Rob. Thanks for coming by. So Ed said, "What was not successful? Exactly. What did not work? What was not successful?" And you want to understand that also, because those are all lessons that is learned from the project happened. So this is one of the key questions. Many times we want to see the good parts. I agree, but at the same time, reflecting upon the things that did not go well would actually benefit us far more. Reflecting upon it, so that we don't continue and do the same mistake again and again. So that's a simple thing. So let me reveal it for you. I think you guys are already getting it. What did not go well? So what went well, what did not go well? You want to reflect upon it. It could be any issues as the time was not appropriate, there were not enough resources, somebody was sick or something like that. Anything could be reasons for failure. We can just be better prepared for the next project. Okay, not all of us are perfect. Not every project has to be like a super duper success. But what you should not compromise is that you should not compromise on the lessons that you could learn from the things that did not go well, from the failures in the project. Okay, the project might be relatively successful, the client might be happy, uh, but there could also be areas that you could improve. That is the fourth part of this question. Okay, fourth part of this question, I think we are almost time. Fourth, I saw that. Let me actually run through it. What are the things that could be improved? Is sorry, the third question that you want to ask yourself and the team is that what could be improved? We could have better timed it. We could have got that person to do this. We could have done this faster. Anything, whatever could be improved based on the experiences that we had about the project. We could have done this one better. We could have done that better, etc., etc., etc. This is the third question that you want to ask yourself as part of the team retro. Okay. Then the last question, stop. Any quick guesses? Any quick guesses? Let me reveal it. What are the things we should stop or discontinue doing? Okay. Many times there are certain things we want to experiment, we would have just tested out, but we know that they're actually hindering the progress of the project, hindering like creating resistance, friction for the success of the project rather than actually helping. So those are the things we also want to take down and be mindful of that, so that we can do better in the next project, whatever that we are up to. Okay, so we should stop doing this one. We should stop hiring this person, or we should stop uh, doing this or that. You can actually brainstorm, ideate, and start doing it. So these are the four parts of a retrospective. Again, I'm not inventing this retrospective exercise or something like that. Plethora of examples and resources are available on the internet, and I believe most of you are by default or managers or a part of a project management team. I'm sure you're already doing this. My little thing that I want to add you to the process is that why don't you do it as a mind map? Okay, as individually as well as a team, you can try this mind mapping again. To just to give you the advantage that this mind mapping offers is that, as you can see, we can see all four questions on a singular canvas. Okay, on a singular canvas, and the beauty is that people can put their points here, and what you can do is that you can group and regroup simultaneously, so that there is emergent insight happening, there is course correction happening. Literally, the entire team is on a single page. Literally, they are on the same page altogether. So that is the beauty of doing retro on mind mapping. That is the beauty of doing it, and I highly recommend you to test it out and see if it works for you, and see if you can try out this wonderful app Xmind as part of your team retrospective as well, either individually also. Okay, I think that sort of brings us to the end of the session. So I think we have some time for questions. Stacy, what do you think? Do we have some time for the questions? If you have any questions, any doubts, feel free to put it in this one. So this is the concept of retro that I want to teach, and particularly you can do these review exercises on a mind map. on a mind mapping tool. So that is the one single takeaway that I wanted. Okay. That said, I want you to go back to the first mind map. Remember, we did the first mind map. Okay. KWL exercise. Now go to that mind map. Go to the mind map, either on your app or your notebook. So K is what already know. W is what you want to know, and L is a retro. L is what did you learn? What did you learn from this particular session? Okay, this is a question that you do after a particular learning session. Basically, it's a retro for a learning exercise. That's all, as simple as it is. So my suggestion is that don't let whatever you learned during the session go away and disappear and evaporate from your head. So go to this mind map and note down at least three takeaways, three new things, three things that surprised you during the session, and please note it down on your mind map so that it becomes part of your long-term learning and process. Hope it helps. Okay. Yes. Okay. Yes, I have question. Oh, I could see the questions. We got two questions. Okay, first question. We got from first question from Ed. Ed, so is retro your method for project review? Exactly, Ed. Yeah. So retrospective, it's as I said, like I'm trained in agile management technique. There we call it as retrospective. It is also a project review or project reflection, personal reflection. You could call it in different ways. Fundamentally, I believe they are all similar concepts, just that different project management philosophies call them differently. So yeah, so retrospective is project review. And again, Ed has another question. It'll be nice to know how to think and work in Xmind versus just copying, meaning freehand mind map into an Xmind. Best way to learn that. Yeah, I am a big fan of doing mind maps on my notebook. Okay, I do almost all my mind maps on my notebook, personal mind maps on my notebook. Then, if I want to share it to somebody else, share it to an audience, share it to my team, even store it for a long term purpose. Okay, for example, I'll give you an example like a weekly review itself. So, if I want to, I do all my weekly reviews on my notebook first. Then, what I do is that I usually want to store it so that I can reflect back during my quarterly review. So, what I do is that I do my weekly review in my notebook as a mind map, then take my Xmind and create a weekly review for that particular week. So just actually like tomorrow is going to be Friday, so I'll be doing my Saturday. On Saturday, I'll be doing my weekly review on my notebook, and then I'll do it on digitally as well. So I have a file just named as weekly review, and I have those four questions. What were the wins? What were the fails? What could be improved? And more importantly, what should I stop or discontinue from doing? Any mistakes I might have made or something like that. And I do this for each of the project. I do it for my like creative projects, for my workshops, for my sessions. In fact, after the session, I'm going to do a review of retro of how did session happen. So that is what I do. Yeah. Any questions? Thank you, Ed. Really appreciate it. Glad you liked it. Glad it was helpful. So yeah. Friends, there is a option called questions. You can put your questions there, or you can simply put it in the chat wherever you feel comfortable. Any questions, have any doubts, feel free to do it. If you don't have any doubts, also my suggestion is that do you remember this KWL exercise? What did you learn today? What did you learn during this half an hour or 30 minutes to 40 minutes of the session? If you can note it, and it will be really nice if you can put it in the chat also, so that other people can also learn from your learning. Any doubts? Any questions? or any impressions even. So you can share your impression. This was useful. This was helpful, or that. I mean, I would be really happy if somebody messaged uh, that like they are going to try out a weekly review, a weekly retro on Xmind. Yes, I see a question now. Let me go to that. Will you offer more learning seminars? Is it a question to me personally or to Xmind? Uh, I think the answer to both is yes. So Xmind is conducting, actually inviting a lot of mind mapping and visual thinking experts like me onto this forum, and they are offering those workshops for free. So it's really amazing that MindMap is doing that. So I'm one of the invitees for them, and personally, I'm also doing. I'm actually a facilitator and consultant for this one. So you can also actually uh, try following me and get notified on what are all the upcoming sessions that will happen. So I'm just sharing my Twitter profile. I think you would have already received from the email. I'm just sharing my Twitter link on the chat. So feel free to follow me. So me and my co-founder Arvind. So we both continue to do a lot of similar workshops on how to use mind mapping, visual thinking as part of your project management cycle, learning cycle, and all those things. So yeah, please follow me. And we have two great reviews. Cynthia has told that definitely we'll try weekly reviews. Thank you for the explanation. Thank you, Cynthia. Really appreciate it. All the best. And Mustafa has said that he got two major learnings: setting retro mind map and linking mind maps. Fantastic, Mustafa. Really appreciate of you doing that. Yes. And if you have any more questions, also, you can feel free to uh, connect to Stacy from Xmind. She will also be happy to join, particularly regarding the app and the sessions, etc. etc. So yeah, thank you all for joining. Really appreciate it. I think a few more questions. Ed, I shared my Twitter link on the chat, so feel free to just give me a follow and say hi to me on DM. So more than happy to thank you. Thank you, Stacy. Thank you, friends. Take care. Bye. See you.